Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pawan Speaks Canada. I hope everybody is doing well. Today we are going to talk about a topic that's been making headlines and recently and everybody is talking about the same. Yes, you have guessed it correctly. We will be talking about Canada's decision to deport thousands of people, including up to 70,000 student and workers who have lived in Canada for years. These people have really worked very hard and many of them have contributed to Canadian economy and now face the possibility of being forced to leave the country. These are the people who have become part of the Canadian society, contributing to its economy and communities, and suddenly they've been asked to leave. So, why is this happening? And can Canada really deport such a large number of people? So in this video, I want to dive into two important questions. The first question that we will be covering, why is this happening? Because Canada is known as a welcoming liberal country that always been open to immigrants. Next question that we're going to discuss is why is the government now taking such a hard decision? So is it really possible to report so many people? We remember here we are talking about a huge number. Could Canada actually send so many people back to their home countries? Well, stick around as we explore these issues and try to understand what is really going on and what's the future might hold for these people which are there in Canada right now. So before we move ahead, please subscribe to my channel because on this channel I keep on sharing such important and updated information from time to time. So without wasting any further time, let's get started, try to understand. So why Canada is cracking down? Let's start with why is this happening? So for years, Canada has been a top destination for immigrants and international students. But recently, the things have changed. People's attitude towards immigration have shifted, especially because of the two main problems. The first one is housing, and the other one is job. The first, I'm going to talk about the housing crisis. So, over the years, rent and housing prices have skyrocketed. For example, in Ontario, rents used to be around $300 to $400, but now they have shot up to over $2,000. Many Canadians, especially those with permanent residency, are struggling to afford housing and they feel that immigrants are making the situation worse. The Canadian housing market has exploded over the last few years with more people moving in. So the demand for homes has pushed prices to unreachable levels for many. Next, we will talk about the job crisis. Some Canadians believe that immigrants are being hired for lower wages, which makes it harder for Canadian citizens to find jobs. And this has led to a feeling that immigration is threatening their job security. Because of these two big issues, the general mood in Canada has turned against immigration. Another important aspect we will be talking about changing in the immigration policies, immigration and the labor market. So Canada has now begun to align its immigration policies more closely with its labor market needs. The government is focusing more on bringing workers for in-demand occupations while reducing the number of visas issued in the field where there are already too many workers. So this has made it harder for students and workers in certain industries to get permanent residency, leaving them into a difficult situation. In fact, while 70,000 students are facing deportation, the number could rise as high as 5 lakh due to work permits expiring. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, many students received extension to their post-study work permits. Now, with the economy stabilizing, the government is saying no more extensions. Another important factor is how Canada is now handling immigrations. So in the past, it didn't matter much which field of work or study you were in when you applied for a visa, but now Canada has realized that it has shortages in certain job sectors which I was talking about, while there are too many people in other aspect. So the government started prioritizing only those people who are needed in specific industries. This means that if you are in a field, there is a lot of competition and not enough job. It's becoming much harder to stay in Canada for a longer term. The government is also tightening rules around work permits now. Public sentiments. So, why there is a shift in public sentiments? I'm going to discuss this in detail. So, one of the biggest reasons for this shift is the changing attitude of Canadian citizens. So, in the past, Canada prided itself on being a nation of immigrants. Most people welcomed newcomers with open arms, knowing that their ancestors had once been immigrants too. So now the biggest question comes, can Canada really deport 70,000 or more people? Can Canada really deport such a large number of people? So, some reports suggest that up to 500,000 people could be affected. Canada's population is around 40 million, so asking 500,000 people to leave Canada is a huge deal for them. Many of these peoples are essential to small businesses, which form the backbone of the Canadian economy. And if they are forced to leave, it could seriously hurt those businesses. Plus, from a legal and a prospective and administrative standpoint, removing so many people would be incredibly complicated for the Canadian economy. Although it is very easy to say that Canada will deport people, but let's think about it. Many of these peoples have been in Canada for 5 to 7 years, and they have left their homes, their families, and countries to build a new life in Canada. They have really worked hard, paid high fees as an international students, and contributed to Canada's economy, especially during COVID 19. So it's heartbreaking to think that after all their sacrifices, they might be forced to leave the country they have actually made their home. These people have adapted to Canadian life, learned the language, embraced the culture, and now going back to their home countries after so many years would be incredibly difficult for them. It's not as simple as packing a bag and going back home. These are real people with real lives who have invested everything into their Canadian dream. Another reason for such decision is election and political pressure. Another important factor driving this situation is political pressure. So Canada's Liberal government is facing a tough election cycle, and with public sentiments against immigration rising, they may be taking a hard stance to gain favor with their voters. Many are speculating that the government's sudden shift in immigration policy is directly tied to this political environment. Now, the most important question comes, is mass deportation possible? From a practical standpoint, it seems highly unlikely that Canada could remove this many people. The sheer logistic would be a nightmare, and small businesses that rely on these workers could collapse, further damaging the economy. Not to mention the human toll, many of these individuals have spent best years of their lives in Canada adapting to the culture, the language, and the way of life. And if these people are sent back to their home countries after 7 or 8 years in Canada, it won't just be hard for them, it will be a massive setback for Canadian business. And what is the future of these 70,000 students and workers, or even 500,000 people whose work permits are expiring? While the Canadian government is taking such a harder stance on immigration, it's unlikely that mass deportation will not happen overnight. As I mentioned, there will be likely a legal challenges and protest, and Canada's identity as a welfare state could be called into a question. But for now, we have to wait and see how the situation unfolds. I hope this video helped clarity on some of the issues surrounding the situation. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Canada should do at this point in time? And if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on important global topics. Thank you for watching Pawan Speaks Canada. See you soon in my next video. Thank you.